Andrew Dinett, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Uh, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, my name's Andrew Dinett. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. I'm originally from New Orleans, born and raised there, but I've been in Dallas for about 12 years now. Right now, what I do, I'm a full-time investor. We do a little bit of wholesaling. We do some fix and flips, some buy and holds, and then some creative deals as well. Kind of a little bit of everything. Yeah, and so yeah, man, I got involved in real estate about 14 years ago as a realtor. It was kind of my best friend. He was my best man. He was doing
Mm-hmm.
it. He was actually seeing some success about it a little bit. And this is back in New Orleans. And so at that time, my dad was sick and I was kind of just taking care of him.
Hmm.
And I needed a very kind of flexible job where I can work the business as well as real estate, as well as take care of my dad. So we did that, started there. I got probably one or two deals done in a year, just a little
Hmm.
extra money, which was great.
Yeah.
And then I moved up to Dallas and really started doing real estate. And then about, let's say, almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I started just straight investing. I was in analysis paralysis mode for like 6 years. I wanted
Uh-huh.
to invest, just never did. I was just doing real estate. And at that point, I was kind of tired of like, when I really decided to make the decision to go full time into just
Hmm.
straight investing. I was just tired of other people determining how much money I made, kind of,
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
it was like, hey, I just had to get the next deal and do the next deal, and I did really well, and had a small small team getting together with me, and yeah, it was great, but it was just like I didn't control everything.
Hmm.
Or I didn't control how much I made. You can go to the closing table and the buyer could be like, hey, no, I decided not to close today. We can't do it. And then you lose out on your commission, right? And
Right.
so yeah, then I started doing it and kind of going through, and I've really luckily had the background of knowing the MLS and knowing the area. I still have my license only for
Hmm.
the MLS. I don't do really any
Right.
real estate, but only for
Yeah.
the MLS. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of how I got started. Yeah.
So as you were helping other people get into homes, how did you determine what kind of strategy you wanted to get into?
Um, so bigger pockets. I think everybody starts there, right? And
Hmm.
just kind of reading a lot and seeing a lot of different things, and also knowing the business a little bit. And I saw a lot of people in the business. They were realtors, but also investors. And I was
Hmm.
like, you know what, I can do that. Like that's what I want to do. I want to start flipping. I'm very handy, and I
Hmm.
like doing things. And so, yeah, I think the transition was started in bigger pockets. Learning. I read the Burr book. Um,
Hmm.
and I was like, you know what, this seems good. So let's start there. I really think everybody kind of starts that way, right? Is
Yeah. Yeah.
thinking about the burr and going there. Uh, and then yeah, at that point I started doing it. And then a couple years ago, I was just like, hey, this is the best year I've had in real estate. This was right after COVID.
Hmm.
COVID was my best, and then 2021 was my best real year in real estate. It's just because, of course, it was just going nuts at that point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I think it's time. I can do it. So I searched for the burr, and I was like, at that point where you're just trying to do, you're still doing your work and trying to invest, you're trying to start at the low possible end, right? Like,
Hmm.
whatever doesn't cost much because I don't have faith in myself to spend $10,000 a month to
Hmm.
go buy to get these leads. So what I did is, and everything, yeah, I got Mojo. It's a three dial caller. I used to
Hmm.
do that in 2015 and 16 a lot.
Yeah.
And started doing that a little bit. And then text blasting. I would go on batch leads, pay for the lead, pay $1,000 for the leads,
Hmm.
and then send it out in text blasting. And maybe spent like 1,500 bucks or so doing that throughout the course of a few months. And it was probably going through all that, it was probably about 3 months before I actually got the deal. And I'll never forget it because this is my 648 Calcutta is the address. That's I still know.
Uh-huh.
And I went and got the deal and went over there to try to negotiate. Knowing real estate a little bit, I knew how to talk to sellers, but it's a whole different game when you're in
Hmm.
investing, try to buy it right for a good price.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so went there and talked to him. I was like, hey, little man, got kind of gave him a low ball offer. I was just like,
Mm.
hey, I'll give you, I don't know, 130 for the house. And he's like, no,
Mm.
he wanted 170 or something like that. I was like, give me
Yeah.
130. So I go back, follow up a week later, he's on the contract with somebody else. And I'm like,
Mm.
man, 3 months of work. I worked this guy for a month and still didn't get it going. And then I was like, you know what? 2 weeks later, I was like, God, you know what? Let me just try one more time.
Mm.
called the guy again and said, "Hey man, look, my offer's still on the table." He's like, "Yeah, actually, these guys aren't going to close. Can we do the offer?" He's like, "I can't do 130, but I was like, what about 140?" Boom, we got the deal for 140. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my first experience. It was like, it was a big upset because it was my first one ready to go.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then I just decided to reach out again and it became my first deal. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really cool story because it's like the power of follow-up, right? Even though he
Absolutely.
says, no, I'm already under contract with someone else, just going back and doing and just making a call, just reaching out.
Yeah,
And
that's
it just
it.
and that's what happened.
Yeah. And that one call changed my real estate career, right? Because it got
Yeah.
me my first deal. It showed me that I can do it.
Mhm.
I proved the concept,
Right.
and then just kind of kept going. So
Yeah. So then for was that a sorry, is that a wholesale deal or a
yeah,
fix and
no,
flip?
sorry. So I did a burr on that one,
Oh,
and
Edinburgh. Okay.
yeah, I wound up keeping that one. I kept it for a
Mm.
few years, well, just 2 years, and I wound up subtuning it to a person in sub two.
Okay.
And so yeah, so I did that. But yeah. So I did a burr deal.
Mhm.
My first flip, I got hard money on it. And did the hard money, got my guys in there, we flipped it, we did a great job. I got a renter in there for a higher amount because that
Mhm.
renter was actually somebody who was starting a business, not necessarily a business, but did uh, women that are exiting the like the orphanage. They were from 15 to 17 years old
Oh,
that didn't
okay.
have anywhere to
Yeah.
go, and they would prop there.
Gotcha.
And so I was able to get higher rent because of there, and she
Mhm.
was take care of the girls and get them going and move them on to starting their lives. So that was really great. And their lease ended after 2 years, and then instead of up, and I sub two to somebody.
Interesting. So for that, it's like a co-living situation, but it wasn't set up for co-living, was it?
Exactly. This is before I knew anything about co-living.
Uh,
This is exactly right. When she was doing co-living, but it was for a specific group of people. And
right.
yeah, so she had two beds in each room. And when I went over there, I went and like looked at it. Two beds in each room, a living space and a kitchen. And
Mm.
this we turned it from a 3-2 into a 4-2,
Okay.
because it had two living rooms. So
Right.
it's perfect what she needed. The max they could have was eight, or sorry, six girls at one time, plus a
Mm.
house person. So they got one
Right.
room and the other three.
Mm.
So yeah, this was the start of like co-living, not the start, but like an
Yeah.
introduction to co-living when I didn't even know it, So
Right.
it was cool.
It's so interesting how there are different exits. When we first get into it, it's like it's either short-term rental, midterm, well, not even midterm rental, short-term
Yeah,
rental or long-term rental.
that's
And then
it.
you got co-living right off the bat. So that's pretty cool.
It was crazy. Yeah. So she did that, and I was able to get higher rent because she did that, and then that was
Mhm.
it. So yeah, it was a good thing. She paid on time every time. It was a great deal. So but yeah, that was my first one, and then I kind of hopped into my second one pretty quickly, and it was just a street flip.
Yeah. Um, why did you end up selling the Burr?
So I wound up selling the Burr because one, they ran out of their they not ran out, but they canceled their lease like 2 years,
Mm.
a 2 year lease that was finished,
Yeah.
and I was needing capital. And
Mm.
so the biggest thing is like, okay, I need capital right now to go buy these other properties. I have this property, it's a great deal. I have cash in there. So I
Mm.
sub two hybrid.
Mm.
And they put a huge down payment down, and then they had I still have, they're paying me every month for it as well.
Yeah.
And so I was like, great, cash flow, and I can get some money out of that property right now. Of course, I sold it for higher than what I would sell
Mm.
it on the market.
Yeah.
So people have recoup some of that and just use it for other deals right now. And that was really it. I just needed the cash to fund a couple big deals.
Okay. Interesting because I'm transitioning out of the single family world and
Mhm.
going to larger assets, and I have a bunch of properties that have a bunch of equity.
Yeah.
So I want to do the same thing where I sell the financing. How are the taxes like when you sell it as on a hybrid?
Yeah, so for me, like with doing that and selling, I sold it. I actually sold it this year. So I don't know how the taxes are going to affect me too much, but
Uh,
from what I understand, I am only taxed on the gains that I've gotten. So on that, I
mm,
had, when you do a burr, right, they do 75% rate
yeah.
and term is what I did. Instead of a cash
Mm,
out 80, at
mm,
that time they were still doing 80%, but
uh,
not anymore. But
yeah.
now it was a rate and term 75% that I got. And
Mm,
so I had a bunch in there, and I probably with the burr, I probably had about 15,000 of my own money in it. So it wasn't a full successful burr, meaning you
Yeah.
want your money. So I had
Hmm.
about 15 grand in there. So I was able to kind of, with my tax bill right now, just send over everything that I experienced and everything, like my renovation costs, all like that. And I had money in there and my lender costs.
Hmm.
So the down payment I got was, I want to say 35,000.
Hmm.
And I was able to justify, like, okay, well, I'm not making any capital gains on this because this is
Yeah.
what I have for here.
Hmm.
Now I have a 0% interest with them because I feel like that's what we should do, is, with sub two on certain things like that. Like, because I
Hmm.
get, when as a seller, get 0% on my
Hmm.
sides.
Yeah.
So I did that. I don't know the tax implications of the 0%, but you're not making that much. You're getting that lump sum later, and that's when I
Yeah.
think taxes are going to hit. But
Yeah.
we'll figure that out. I'll buy
Yeah.
some properties to make sure that doesn't go.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I used to hate this, but you'll figure it out later. Yeah, we'll figure it out later.
That's it's exactly right. It's just
Yeah.
get the deal, and I'll figure out everything else later. And that's always how I've kind of acted. And because I was in analysis paralysis for so long,
Hmm.
once I started, I was just like full blown 100%. And that was really helpful. The analysis paralysis stage sucked, but
Hmm.
it was helpful because I did do a lot of research. I learned a lot.
Hmm.
And then I kind of had the drive to go forward 100% instead of, just kind of one here, one there, one there. It
Yeah.
was just full on. So yeah.
So what kind of mindset issues did you have to go through or get past to get out of analysis paralysis?
Yeah, I mean, whew, man, that's a great question. The biggest thing was that it was just the confidence in myself, and getting there. The mindset of, okay, one, starting to read, I think a lot of people start here too, Think and Grow Rich. A lot of
Hmm.
people read those, and I did it. I was the same way. I read those and start there, and just really getting that mindset of, one, being grateful. That's a huge thing, right? Just being grateful for what you have.
Hmm.
And then two is really just kind of moving past, like, listen, I know I've done a lot of research. I know this is a good deal. I've underwritten it the correct way.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a very low chance of me losing money. And that was the
Hmm.
biggest thing, to get past that. And a
Yeah.
lot of people, on the outside of investors, think that we're risky. I am not risky. I
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
research, like, there's a very, very low chance of me losing any type of money on anything.
Right. Yeah.
So, everybody's like, oh, you're so risky doing this and this. I'm like, no, this is just calculated risk that is very low for me, but I know what
Right.
I'm doing. And
Yeah.
so it's really about the mindset of getting past that. And if I lost money, hey, I can make it up and keep going. Right.
Hmm.
And that's the biggest thing, is keep going. One, being grateful. And then two, just having the mindset of, like, you can do it. Be confident in yourself because you've learned the stuff, the stuff, and just go do it. That was it. Once you rip the band-aid off, you're like, okay, I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned from them. And now that's it. Like, check mark, done. Let's go to the next one and go
Hmm.
further and be better. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the things that I get a lot too is you're in this world and you're just taking all this risk. Well, if you do everything the right way, then it's
right.
really not risky. You're not gambling, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, gambling's just like throwing the money away. This
Yeah.
we are risking to a certain extent, but the risk
Right.
is, for us, I feel, is so low because
Right.
we do all the backhand research that people don't see, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
All the numbers and
yes,
everything in the research. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Like I'll never go to a casino and put money down just because even if I was a billionaire, like why would I do that? It's just throwing money away, right?
It's just literally throwing money away. That's right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Um, so I guess looking back, uh, now, what's some advice that you would give to yourself when you're first getting started?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest advice, and I say this to a lot of people, is, man, stop thinking, start. You're
Mm.
gonna make mistakes. That is the name of the game, is making the mistakes and learning from them. But
Yeah.
if you could just keep going, even no matter what, there's gonna be ups and downs in life, right?
Mhm.
You know you're gonna keep going. And, like, I kind of heard this quote or something like that. It's like, you are like 100% successful in moving past things. Like, if something happens, like, you're still
Mhm.
alive. You're good. You're
Yeah.
100% successful. You are 100%. So keep going. It's going to push through. And no matter what. So if you think you've made a bunch of mistakes, okay, sit on it, be upset for a second, and then move past it quickly.
Yeah.
And that's the best advice I can give. It's just move past, if you can make decisions quickly and move past the whatever it may be quickly to the next step, you're going to be successful no matter what, I think. And so, and look, that step might take 2 weeks, right?
Hmm.
I know a lot of people aren't at the point where it's like, okay, well, I'm making a decision in 5 minutes. All right,
Right.
it's tough,
Yeah.
but as long as you keep going and keep moving, like, okay, it sucks now, but it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I think that's the best thing. Just start. That's it. Just start. Whatever it is, just start it.
Yeah, 100%. Because you can't learn from mistakes that you don't make.
Exactly, exactly. You can do, look, I couldn't tell you how many hours of YouTube and books have
Hmm.
read that in those 5 to 6 years I was just analysis paralysis.
Hmm.
I mean, it could be hundreds of hours. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
That could not prepare you for anything of just starting.
Oh
Starting that
yeah.
one deal, that one burr was
Hmm.
better than that 5 years of research because I learned so much just doing that.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So you're doing a ton right now. What is the biggest need you have in your business?
Right now, I so I have a ton. We have like leads coming in. One is hiring. I'm looking at the process right now of hiring somebody that I know delegating is a big thing for me. Having
Hmm.
that because it's just me, myself, and I doing it, and I've just learned to do a lot of things, and I think as entrepreneurs, and I tell this to my friends all the time, it's like as entrepreneurs, it's just like we have a stress tolerance level of much higher than anybody else.
Hmm.
So like, I always say like, somebody's stress level could be at 6% and their world can be destroyed,
Hmm.
right? Because they haven't been through it. They haven't had
Yeah.
made those scars and scar tissue. Um,
Hmm.
and in ours is like, we're at 60, 70% and something happened. Okay, no big deal. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
I've always been in that mindset of like, all right, we can just move forward, do that. But delegating right now, it's still hiring an integrator and then hiring one person that can kind of follow up on the leads and just have me go out there and do what I need to do is talk to sellers and get deals done.
Yeah. I mean, just listening to, I guess, your story about how you got your first deal, it sounds like you're doing from everything from A to Z.
Yes, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. Yeah, absolutely. I have a little step plan that I do and I follow, but and luckily over the time I've kind of a team is what I say. I got an insurance guy,
Mm.
lenders, and things like
Mm.
that where it's like in title companies where I could just be like, hey, here it is. And I
Yeah.
don't have to follow up a lot with them and they already know the deal. But that takes time to get to get
Mm.
to get to that. But
Yeah.
yes, yeah, I am. And even so, on the flips and stuff, what I do too is I'll list them as well as a realtor because I'm doing the listing, the negotiating with the people so A to Z for sure. I am definitely doing. So I just need to do A to B and have
Yeah.
everything C to Z done.
I can't imagine what your days look like.
They're good. They're good. It's crazy. I'm pretty efficient now, which I think I've always been pretty efficient
Mhm.
because I drop my kids off most days in the morning,
Mhm.
and then I pick them up, almost every day just to make sure. And we have activity and stuff. So I've gotten to the point where I'm very lucky where I don't really do anything past 4 o'clock
Mhm.
because I got kid stuff and I have two young kids and it's just a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just being efficient during the day, really, and that's it. Just trying to get it going and working the deals and talking to people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can accomplish a lot
Yes,
if you just don't mess around.
that's exactly right. Yeah, don't get an Instagram, scroll Instagram for
Yeah.
like 30 minutes and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. How can people reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can call me. My number is 504-495-1309. Call or text. I'm usually pretty good about answering the phones. And then email Andrew at DinettProperties.com. D's and dog, INETT properties.com. So that's pretty, or Facebook, Instagram. I'm not really a big user on Instagram and Facebook,
Mhm.
but I'm there a lot on Facebook with the Sub 2 group and everything like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have those in the description as well. So,
oh, perfect.
yeah,
Perfect. Okay, good.
cool. All right. Thank you again so much.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right.